Don't forget.
Saw the name Celine show up. Oh,
Hello.
hello, Celine.
Hi.
Oh, what a namesake. That lady's got a voice that just stops you, doesn't it? Oh my goodness.
Celine Dion or Celine on this call as well?
I wish it was Celine Dion. Everybody says that.
Yeah.
Celine, where are you located?
I'm located in England, but I'm from Gibraltar originally.
Okay.
Wow.
If somebody, you know what, I'm going to mute everybody just for the sake of the noise, but feel free to unmute yourself, okay?
That would be fun. Now that we've got broke the ice on that.
Hold on, let me mute you really quick and then unmute yourself. Okay.
Okay, this is fun.
That was easier.
As Celine just introduced herself, you're from England. Where are you now?
You can unmute yourself. Yep.
I'm down in Sussex and Brighton.
Okay.
You know it?
Yeah. No, I'm in Dallas, Texas area.
Uh-huh. I've been to Houston and Austin some years ago. I have friends there years ago.
So where in the world is everybody at? Just a little hello to everybody. I get a kick out of talking to people around the world. And I was talking to somebody from New Delhi, India last week. It's like, are you kidding me? We literally had on opposite planets because he was 12 hours shift on the phone call. Literally on the other side of the planet. It was just bizarre.
I guarantee you there's at least two people on this call that are in India right now.
Really?
Yeah. There's a dude, we got people all over the world that through this bubble, it's so incredible to have people like and I observe what you just observed. It's a great thing.
It's stunning. I mean, that's what I like about Dr. Joe's work is
Yeah.
that you could take these books, if you can translate it, you could take it to any culture on the planet and talk to people because it is so human. It's not superstar, not this class of people, not this culture. It's so human. It can be taught anywhere on the planet and received with hope and purpose. I just absolutely love it.
And we got from Vancouver, Canada, on the words of all culture and all over the place. And yeah, vibrations and love is the language, excuse me, of the world. And it's a beautiful thing. All right. Oh, wow. It's 9:01. Okay. So hello, everybody. We're going to get started around 9:10. Ray Dwyer, the man himself, was just speaking. He is the man, the myth, the legend. The guy got stories to share, and the knowingness and the strength that he speaks of it just is going to encourage, inspire me, and motivate you. And the ripple effects of this call is going to be incredible. I know from meeting Ray, I know a lot of his story, but he shared just other things he's been up to that I can't wait for him to share as they unfold. He's going to talk about that today. Hello, Karen. Just seeing Karen. Hale. Karen.
Morning. I'm here with Mom.
Hello, Mom. Are you sewing or embroidering?
No, not yet, but I will sometime today.
Nice. So when you do that, do you have an idea in mind or you just go with the flow?
I go with the flow. I have the idea and I started and then I work from what the original idea was.
Yep. The true form of creativity.
Yeah, right. I guess that is what it should say. Right. Uh-huh.
Well, Karen, if you don't mind, if you could share it when you're done, we'd love to see it.
Okay.
Yeah, beautiful. Good to see you guys.
Looking forward to listening to Ray's story.
Yeah, let's go, Ray. Let's see. All right, who else we got in here? We got a bunch of people. Lala, hello. Christina, hello. Peter, hello. Marianne, Daphne, I think I said hello. Marius, what's up, my brother? John, hello. John Mullane, hello. Andrew, what's going on? Tim, Amanda, Holly, Brooklyn Holly in the house. Eva, Cosette, Aziza, hello. Heather, hello. Delphine, Caroline. All right, great. We got people coming in. Good morning, everyone from Miguel D. And then who was from Vancouver? That was Marion in Vancouver, Canada. Hello. All right, this is going to be, as always, I don't know who was here. Just as a reminder, if anybody didn't catch Brad, good morning, Aziza. If anybody didn't catch Brad's call, it's in the link. Check it out. I'll post it again. It was simply incredible. Again, that's the purpose of these calls, to see, feel, and hear these ripple effects of what these calls do. It's our purpose, and Raise is only going to do the same thing. It's just really exciting. So we're going to get started at 9:10. It's around 9:05. So anybody here, if they have anything they want to say to Ray, I know there's some people on here I don't know. So if you just know, the floor is yours. If you just want to say what's up, if not, just know we kind of wing it until we get started. Good morning.
May I say one thing?
You sure can. That's why I said it.
Yeah, so I joined this group after I listened to Ray on Thursday in our Open Hearts Coherence Healing group. And the story you shared, Ray, was incredible. We were like hooked to it almost for 2.5 hours for sure, maybe more. So it was awesome. And I understood many, many things that I did not understand before. So I really, really liked it. So thank you so much for sharing your story and wisdom. And as you said before, knowingness that I felt, which was wonderful. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Ripple, baby, ripple. Lala just said that. Let's go. Good afternoon, everyone. Late afternoon in Switzerland. What's up, Peter? All right. It's 9:05. I tend to go off my plans because I was just about to say let's get started, even though I said 9:10.
Getting excited.
Yeah, I get excited. All right, Peter, who else? Okay. Cosette, I think I said hello. Now I see your face. I'll say hello again.
Morning.
Anna. Hello, hello. Anna, what's up, Anna?
Hey, hi. Hi, Robbie.
Hello, good morning.
I just want to,
Anna.
hi, Ray.
I know Anna. How you doing?
Yes, I'm here. I wouldn't miss it. Yeah, Ray and I are really tight. A lot of it has to do. We live in the same burg. We live in Dallas. Oh, he lives in Garland actually, but it's right next door. But yeah, Ray, I just attribute everything that that's happened to me in this space. It's been because of Ray. I started listening to his Sunday classes because I couldn't understand. I've been meditating for 100 years maybe, and also I want to say Ray and we share a similar path, journey. Do you agree, Ray?
It's
Yeah,
pretty close, yeah.
yeah. A lot of trauma, and so we've had to heal from that, and it's kind of like parallel, but it's not identical, obviously, but it's been very parallel. But yeah, he explained a lot about what, Joe was saying, and about all these concepts that I was just not able to understand it, even though I had been meditated forever. And it's just kept going deeper and deeper. It's because of Ray that I went to the first retreat last year. And then I went to 2 more, but yeah.
Now you're addicted.
No, no. In fact, it's no. I'm not an addictive personality, actually, but no, I'm not addicted. But I've gotten what I needed, and he's really helped me a lot on the path. So, yeah, great story. You're in for a treat, all of you. So, those are my comments. And thank you, Ray, for everything. And thank you too, Robbie. You do a lot. You're pretty awesome.
You're pretty amazing. You're pretty amazing, Anna. Seriously, your energy is beautiful. But yeah, Ray, if you wanted to say anything.
Thank you. Well, I'm not going to go on camera because here in Texas, it's 8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. So
yeah, don't worry about it. You look
all
good.
right. Thank you. Yeah, I do look pretty good. Even
But Anna, thank you. Yeah, Anna, you have wonderful energy. I love every time you come on a call. You're there, and you're 100% there every time. It's really great.
Yeah, I'm not always there, but when I am,
You're there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Robbie. Okay, I got it. I'm gonna be quiet now.
No, you're fine. Thank you so much. Ray, do you want to if you want
my long-term friend Leela, how are you, sweetheart?
A good way to started.
Yeah, it just she
Hi,
was one of
Ray.
the first people I met when I was doing the studies with Ginny Truman, and Leela was very gracious and introduced and helped me feel comfortable in the new culture. Yeah, I always think of her as just, oh, there's my earliest friend.
Oh, Ray, that's so super sweet. I got up early because I wanted to be here.
Yeah,
So I'm
so you're gonna get an extra good shout out because you're. Let's just go into it now. I'm so happy you said that, Ray. All right, so it is recording. Welcome everybody, and hello, Leela. Welcome everybody to the Sunday journeys. Now we're not going to call it Sunday night journeys to avoid confusion for now on. These calls typically, if you haven't been on a call, what we do is I give an intro and somebody shares their journey, and they just basically take the mic, take the floor for about 15 minutes to 30 minutes or to an hour, whatever it ends up being, and then we just converse. It relates. There's so much relation and ripple effect and growing from these conversations, inspiration, motivation, and uplifting stuff, just like as Anna said, and as the other beautiful lady said. I'm sorry, I can't see your name on the screen. But yeah, just look at the effect of Ray being Ray, and let's just envision and feel the impact of this call. And we already know what it's going to happen. So it's a beautiful thing. So again, that's the structure of everything. Ray's going to have the floor for a little bit. He's going to share, but I'll just give a little quick intro to how I met Ray. Hey, Justina, good to see you. Beautiful energy. Suzanne, right above. Let's go. And Sean, and then Kathleen. All right, we got some people here. Beautiful. So this call, if you guys don't know, I was doing the Sunday Night Journeys for about a year and a half. I took about an 8-month to 12-month break. And before that break happened, this call is about a year and a half in the making. Leela introduced me, or she called me and said, there's a guy you need to meet. His name is Ray Dwyer. You got to get him as a Sunday Night Journey guest. He has this amazing story to share. I give Ray a call. Me and him end up hopping on the call for about 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours. And by the end of the call, I ended up being a guest on his show. We didn't even talk about the Sunday journeys because if you guys know those kind of conversations, they just went where they went. And then I hung up the phone like, oh shit, I forgot the whole reason we were going to call is I needed him as a guest. So this has been a year in the making, and I'm so happy it's happening now. One, because Ray has more to add to it, but I got to meet Ray. I got to hang out with Ray. I know who Ray is now. Even more so in person. He's come to Cape Cod to retreats. Just seeing the way that he approached the polar plunge explains who Ray Dwyer is, a man that knows his strength and he knows who he is. So I feel very honored to know who you are. As I mentioned to me and Ray did a talk. It was called a coffee talk thing. We'll share that link at the end of it, or at the end of this call in the WhatsApp group. But without further ado, again, Ray's going to kind of rehash his story that I already know, and then just share what he's been up to lately. So without further ado, the floor is yours, Ray Dwyer. Thank you very much.
Oh my goodness, how do I live up to that? Let me introduce myself. I woke up 2:30 this morning going, oh, I don't want to say that. I said, yeah, introduce yourself, right? You got to introduce yourself. Oh, okay, so here goes. As an introduction, I am an eternal, luminous, electrical, light, energy being of divine origin. That is what I am. Let me say that again. I am an eternal, luminous, electrical, energy being of divine origin. I am a point of expression of the divine and heir to the infinite potential. How's that for an introduction? But that is what I am.
Feeling it. Electric.
That is what I am. Who I am, I'm still discovering, but that is what I am. And I'm here to tell you that is what you are also. Now, how did I get from an angry, old, grumpy guy who couldn't hold a job because he was overexpressing military PTSD and multiple cancers? How did I get from that guy to this guy? Well, the journey, I've labeled the journey, and it's called The Work and the Promise. And so my journey, I could start in a dozen different places, but to understand the parts, you got to understand the beginning. I didn't finish high school. Uh, I ran away from home. I was one of the homeless on the beach in Pensacola, Florida. And I was just a teenager living in the dunes and doing odd homeless things for about 2.5 years before I went in the army during the draft. I knew where I was going, and I spent 2 years in Asia. And I got out. I still had all my members. I had a good career there. I was an air traffic controller there on certified radar and things like that. So I used my head instead of my body. And I got out, but I was overreactive, overstressed, over hyper vigilant, hyper this, hyper that. And because of that, I lost one job after another, after another. I ended up getting a master's degree. So I'm pretty educated now. I got a I got a master's degree from University of Dallas. So that young boy who didn't get high school, he's gone into the wind. But still, I couldn't hold a job. Have you ever had something bug you in the back of your head that you just don't know how to let go? And that's how I spent my life, one job after another. I held very high level DoD clearances. I worked in very advanced electronics. Um, I was in and out of groups of uh, church and meditation groups and things like that. When I was a number of years ago, while I was in Pensacola, I was talked into going into a anger management group to see if they could help me. The third meeting, they told me not to come back. I got kicked out of an anger management group.
That sounds like a Saturday Night Live skit.
I know. I think that's so funny. So anyway, so one thing led to another, and I found myself back over here in Dallas, Texas, and it was the summer of 2009. No, yeah, it was the summer of 2009, and once again, I had lost my job for the same reason, getting something pulled my string, and I went off, and so they sent me home. So I started contacting some of the people that my work had serviced, and I got enough people to start a business of my own. I'd never get rich, but I could pay my bills and no one would fire me because I was in charge. That was my thing. And so to do that, I went to the VA Medical Center in Dallas to get checked out. In 40 years, 40, 50 years of after I got out of the military, I'd never been to the VA Medical Center because I was under the impression that's where veterans go to die. And but I had no means of supporting my medical. So that was why I went there and why I never did. So it takes a couple weeks to get checked in, the process paper and stuff. It's not like regular hospitals. You got to show your military records and they got to investigate it and you got to make sure you had all that kind of stuff. So I went in for my physical to check up and the guy's going over me and stuff like that. And he's got my arms. He's going up and he's poking under here and he goes, "What's this?" And Doc, I said, "Look at me. I'm a strong man. I work hard. I've got bumps and bruises and muscles everywhere. I got sores everywhere. What do you mean, what's this?" I couldn't feel a thing. I said, "No, there's something here." So he sent me to X-ray and told him, "X-ray him today." And so they did. And it came back and I had something of interest, I think was the expression he used. And so they quickly got me scheduled for MIR. And sure enough, I've got skin cancer. And so they quickly biopsied it and it's confirmed I've got melanoma cancer. And in fact, somebody asked me what kind of skin cancer I had. I had all of them. I had basal squamous melanoma, and they were blooming on me like weeds. And I didn't even know what it was. I just thought it was old age marks. No, I wasn't so lucky. I was finally diagnosed as fully malignant metastatic melanoma cancer with basal and squamous here, there, and everywhere. And within 2 weeks of that physical, I was in surgery. And for those who know anything about military VA, 2 weeks to go into surgery is like lightning speed almost. I mean, talk about the express lane.
Well,
And so they cut all the lymphs. I got 2 different separate surgeries on my right arm, and they cleared my right arm of all the lymphs and tumors and everything. And then they scheduled me, and I spent the next month in the chair. The chair, the one that you see in movies where people sit and have bottles drip into them. I spent a whole month, 5 days a week, 4 straight days in that chair. And after that, I was given a case of little pin shots that kind of remind me of EpiPens, where you kind of stick yourself and go pop. For the next 11 months, I took these chemical shots in my belly 3 times a week. And, just that was a challenge, I can tell you. I felt pretty good about it because I only missed one. There was only one time I sat in this chair and went, I just ain't not going to do it. No. Well, anyway, I completed the 11 months. During this time, I was on some psychotic drugs that turns off your head. I mean to say, just dark. For a guy with such strong mind, attention, will to have your head turn off. It's funny. It was a funny feeling because I knew what I knew, but I was totally unable to make a decision. There's something in your consciousness that decides left and right, blue, green, whatever. It was turned off, and it was turned off for over 2 years. I understand why. When I was going through this treatment, the doctor told me, get my affairs in order. I had 3 to 5 years to live. That started in September of 2009. And the first week he told me that, I couldn't get out of the hospital. I can even remember the first time he told me that. When I left the office, I walked down the hall of this big, huge VA medical center in Dallas. I got about halfway down the hall, and I just stopped and started pounding my head on the wall. I just couldn't believe. I was in shock. Just boom, boom. Where'd this come from? I've been strong, healthy. Somebody said, who's your doctor? I don't have a doctor. I haven't been sick in my life for 20 years. I didn't even get the flu, and now I'm dying of cancer. Boom. And so I was emotionally wrecked. And the doctor kept telling me, get my affairs in order. So my wife and I, we got my will written, my medical testimony, we even found the funeral arrangements, on and on and on, all that kind of stuff. Because every time I showed up, they wanted to prove that I had my affairs in order and stuff like that. Because people don't survive this. Hi, everybody. Guess what? Somebody does. There's a way out of that hole.
Hey, sorry, Ray, really quick. I don't know if my camera's broken. Is it broken on your end? Is it not working?
You're hiding.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to, if my camera's broken, just so you know, I'm trying to figure it out on the back end, but continue. My apologies.
Yeah. And I used to really be angry at the doctors because every time I'd go in and have an interview with the doctor, they reminded me how much time I have to live. And after I got past the first month of sitting in the chair where I was getting angry at being told this is terminal. But when I looked around, as I remember, after a few years down the stream of that, I looked around. I was the only survivor of this small group of men who had advanced melanoma.
Wow.
They either committed suicide because they couldn't tolerate the darkness, or the cancer killed them. The drugs were so dark that veterans, these were warriors, these were tough men, would rather commit suicide than to walk through that darkness for as long as they had to. That's how bad it was. And I've recently found out that that drug is no longer used because of that. It's because, so anyway, somewhere along that first month, I was in the chair and I was being my typical self. And the doctor says, does that class starting pretty soon? I said, yeah. He says, okay, tell them to wait. I've got somebody that I want. With just me drugged out of my mind, decided that I needed PTSD training. Well, duh. In hindsight, it's like, so I'm half drugged out of my mind, and they still diagnosed me with military-related PTSD. Now, I bring up that point because that's going to be part of my story once I get into the up the mountain. Right now, I'm just telling you where my valley was. So I went through that, and let me see, somewhere around that was 2009. It was 2015 that I've been off the drugs long enough that my mind was wanting to learn again. Yeah, I don't need to go into those kind of. I'm sitting there going, well, no, they don't. Just trust me. That was a long, dark, sad walk for me. We didn't have money for jack because I wasn't working, and the only checks that I was getting now was for my disability. That PTSD I mentioned. I was diagnosed with military-related PTSD, so I got a small check each month, and that's what we lived on. So it was 2015 when I started. I'd been off the drugs long enough to start clearing my head, wanting to learn something. I went into Bible study thinking, oh, this is good because this is Revelations. I got about halfway through the chapter and they told me to go home, don't come back. That's part of who I was, because the title of the group said study. So I studied. And when I study, I find some very odd corners of the field to study in. I don't just study their little propaganda thing. And when I come back with my answers, it just was a little, but here's my documented proof, just I'm a student. I know how to study. And well, anyway, go away and don't come back. So from there, I went to searching for esoteric schools. I went from one school to another. I even visited a weekend local in Garland, Texas, where I am. Some of the sweetest people you ever meet. I mean, you just want to hug them. If they learned anything, they learn how to love everything, and but I couldn't go where they went, so I kept looking. The tree behind me is a reminder of my walk in the study of the Kabbalah. Beautiful thing, but you gotta be careful who your teacher is, because it could be just another religion. And the Hermetic principles. But I went on and I studied a few other places. And then in March of 2018, I was still not satisfied with who I was, because I've got a friend, and I said, where do I go to change this? He says, well, you're talking this culture in me. I don't know how to break this thing in me. I knew enough, I had wakened enough to know that I had this thing in me that I needed to change. And that's why I started hopping around to all these different schools of thought and meditation. And I could meditate the chart. I mean, I could project an image, but I couldn't figure out why when I did it, nothing happened. And nobody was explaining it in a way that I got it. I can't even say whether they were explaining it or not. I just know I didn't get it. So I was sitting watching television, and on Gay, I think it was, and I watched this goofy movie. What the bleep do we know? Okay, here's a chance to wave your hand. Anybody else here see that movie and have that your introduction to Dr. Joe? That always tickles me, because like that movie is just so different, so bizarre. So I watched it once with my wife, and she got up and left the room. So she goes, "Oh man, it was just," and I watched it a second time. It's like I didn't even understand what I was watching. I just knew he was saying something different that I'd ever heard, and that there's something about the mind that I'd never heard, even with the study of the Kabbalah and the ancient Egyptian Hermetic Emerald Tablet and stuff like that. I've got those books, and there was something in what he said. So I wrote down all the speakers there. And I went through Bruce Lipton and Craig Braden and that lady from Washington with the ARA, and I read their material, and it was interesting, but it was just philosophy. I still hadn't found what I was looking for. And there's this one guy left, this chiropractor. Says, "Oh man, what do I want to read about a chiropractor for?" That we've been going to a chiropractor for years and years, and we'd hop around to one chiropractor, and I just couldn't imagine that a chiropractor had something to say. So I wrote down his name, Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I started searching for him on YouTube. And it's like, oh my goodness, this guy's saying something. So it was the end of March that I bought his first book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And it was halfway through the book, chapter 6. I call it the heart chapter. And my hands are shaking. I was just so excited. I had finally found my teacher. He was saying something that coherence between the heart and the mind and opening your heart. I went, that's the secret ingredients. That's the piece that I've been missing. No matter where I've went, that's the piece. And he just nails it in that chapter 6. Chapter 1 is introduction. Chapter 2 is the story of your environment. Chapter 3 is the story of your lower body center. Chapter 4 is the chapter about your third energy center. Chapter 5 sums it up. Chapter 6 is about your heart. And chapter 7, I titled in my own titling, I call, if it's so easy, then why is it so hard? That kind of describes the rest of the book. And, and so, as you can see, I've read that book a few times. I've even made my own titles for the book, for the chapters. And so I'm going through chapter 6, and the cynic in my mind comes up. You know, that part says, yeah, he's just saying, he's just another teacher. And I went, okay, so he mentions in the afterwards, he wrote a book called Evolve Your Brain. If you're a heady person like I am, and you like to know whether what you do has substance and whether he's done his homework or not, I'd do with it. Oh, it's out in the living room. Okay, get the book, Evolve Your Brain. That is actually Dr. Joe's first book. What's interesting thing about that book is that there's no meditation in it. There's no mention of meditation in it. Well, it might mention. There's no mysticism. It is a book of science. It's a book that substantiates and explains why he does what he does. It was probably one of the most challenging books I had read in years. I would read 2 pages and go, what did I read? It is not a casual read. But when I got through it, I was all in because to that point, I knew that everything Dr. Joe does, he has substantiated it, validated it, scientifically written about it. There is even the way he says space within space. He has practiced that deliberately with people with head EEG monitors on to see how people respond. Everything is purposeful. Nothing is left to whim. And so I went back and started studying Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I guess this was March, April, somewhere around the end of April and May when I jumped in that book and started going through it. And then I bought You Are the Placebo. And those are the only 2 books I could afford. And that first year I bought the meditations that went with breaking the habit, which is the body parts meditation and water rising meditation. And I tried doing them. And I got in that body parts meditation, and he started going space within space. And I go, what is space? I thought that I could meditate. I couldn't even understand his instructions on his first level meditation, space. I didn't have any idea what space was, that as he used that word. Then I tried using the water rising meditation. Well, I mentioned earlier that I kind of grew up my teenage years on Pensacola Beach. Well, water rising is a beautiful meditation. And if you don't have the trauma that I had, then you'd never have a problem with it. But growing up on water rising on Pensacola Beach, I had friends who drowned. I rescued people from drowning. I was rescued from drowning. My friend I rescued from drowning. Drowning was a real thing. People died drowning where I grew up. So here I am in this water rising, and I'm imaging water coming up, and it gets to about here, and the adrenaline hits my head. And that meditation is over. It's just, so I put that one away. So I bought the set of the first 3 Blessing of the Energy Centers, 1, 2, and 3. And that's what I did 3 times a day, again and again and again. In that simple Blessing of the Energy Center meditations, there's some hidden lessons that you don't know you're learning if you're new in this until you look back on what you learn. The first thing you learn, well, one of the things, there's no real clear sequence because you learn them all together, is awareness. Awareness is something we all do, but is it something that you can consciously, creatively, deliberately choose to do, to put your awareness here and your awareness here and your awareness here? Not your attention. The attention, Dr. Joe says in his quantum model, is the particle. Awareness is the wave. Like light. Light has a character of particle and a wave. And so it's not one or the other, it's both. But to do these meditations, you have to be consciously deliberate in your awareness. And everybody does awareness, but can you consciously, deliberately put your awareness here or here and here? I never thought of it like that. And so that was one of the big skills I got. Another big skill, as I've done this, I was doing this 3 times a day. I was unemployed, had no money, I didn't go anywhere. So what else did I have to do? And so I'd get up in the morning, and for the first time in my life, strangely, I was able to get up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and sit in this chair as you see me. And I would do Blessing of the Energy Centers. And I did them, and I did them, and I did them. I transcribed them to study the words. I wanted to know the magic in it because I could tell something was happening, but I didn't know what. It was somewhere around the 8th month of doing this. There's a funny one. Dr. Joe says numerous times, don't get up from your chair until you've changed. I would have died of starvation if I did that because nothing changed for 6, 7, 8 months. I mean, nothing. But if I was to title this talk, I would title it The Word and the Promise. Something in the way he talked with such confidence, I got a hold. If I can do what he says, if I can do the work, that's what I meant to say, the work and the promise. If I do the work, this will change me. And so I committed myself. I'd get up from my chair and know that I did nothing but sit here and listen to this again and again and again. And I'd say, fine today, but I'll be back tomorrow. I just did that kind of thing. You hadn't heard the end of me. I'll be back. I'm doing it again. And so I went at this in a real guy attitude. And so it was around the 8th month after all this time with no community or anything. I started finally getting echoes of the lessons. I'd be doing something and I'd get this aha moment, like, oh, that's what it means. And I'd get up so excited, I'd walk around my living room in circles trying to absorb. I so wish I had journalized that first year, so I could have notes and share the aha moments that I learned what it was that Dr. Joe was saying. But I didn't. I was too beat up with self-criticism. I'd write something down. I've got multiple books of journals where I tried to write, and about a week or two into it, I'd be just obsessing on what I wrote, and I just had to stop because it was too disturbing. I'd be haunted by my self-criticism. So if you're like that, you're not the only one. So it was around the 8th month I started getting the aha moments, and then the magic started in around the 10th month. So this is started in April. So somewhere around December, I started becoming conscious of my guides and teachers. Oh, what a sweet thing that is to be in the meditation. But to get there, I missed an important point. To get there, I learned I am the observer. If there's any magic of blessing the energy centers until it's boring, because boring is an important process the mind does. Boring has 2 doors. One is to get up and leave when you're bored, or look over the fence, because everybody has a psychic perimeter around them. This is what I know. And it's just an illusionary thing. And you get very, very familiar with inside that fence. Well, by doing the same meditation again and again and again, the cognitive mind gets bored and either wants you to stop or explore something more. And so I started pushing the perimeters of understanding of this meditation I was doing again and again and again and again. And I started learning some odd things. One, I became very conscious that I was an observer observing my body as I brought the energy centers up. That was big to me. And it's big for the rest of the work, because you are the observers of this life. Remember my crazy introduction? I am an energy being of eternal. The I that said that is the observer. And every time I say that, I get this wave of goosebumps. The electricity just flows through me. And that's an important part later in the story too, I'll tell you about. So I became the observer in my meditation. Big deal. As I moved up and moving the energy centers and things like that. So around the 10th month of doing these meditations, the blessing of the end. Oh, by the time I got to around the 10th month, I was able to do the body space meditations. I mean, the body parts meditation, because I understood what space was. That space is your sphere of awareness. Because by now I've learned I could put my awareness in this small spot. I could put my awareness in my room. I could control where I became aware of. And that was a cool thing for me to do. And I started becoming aware of my heart center, because I've been doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 many times. And so I'm just really tickled with what I'm learning, but I'm still the same guy I always was, but I'm learning, and I'm kind of a guy that likes to learn. And so I've learned that I'm the observer, and that's exciting to me. So around the 10th month, this observer was doing this, and my teachers showed up in my mind. I was sitting in this chair, and all of a sudden I knew I was not alone. And I could almost hear them laugh, because all of a sudden there they are. And I just got so excited in meditation. I came out of meditation. But you're like, and because they've always been there, but I wasn't tuned in an energy level where I was aware of them.
Exactly.
And so when I became aware of them, I could hear them kind of chuckle, like, he found us, and so I became friends. Yeah, that's a fair word, with my teachers. I had one that I call my beloved, And I had one I called the teacher. The beloved is a feminine energy. First of all, let's not get picky over calling male and female, because these could be just parts of my psyche. I don't know. Maybe when I get higher in my studies, I'll know. But right now, they presented as two separate energy beings. So I'll accept it as that. So when I call my beloved, it was a feminine energy. She had a feminine voice, and she treated me very gently, and she helped me do little things. If we're shopping, she'll guide me what store to go. She even helped me find parking places. That's a fun thing to do, is to go you want to practice intention, practice doing fun things. Sit in your meditation and go, okay, I've got to go shopping. I have a super Walmart here that we go to. And I was still very physically weak from my journey. And I'd say, I want a parking lot with it up close. Where is it? And so I'd get a picture. I want a parking lot right there. And I'd go in and I'd be pulling into the driveway, and the car where I wanted would pull out, and I'd pull in. I mean, the timing was within seconds of what I asked for. It was so much fun. And so that's how you can do fun things to practice intention. That's a good suggestion to do. Intention isn't meant just to do serious things for your life. Use it as a fun thing so that you can practice daily meditations. It's a little side thing. So anyway, so we did that and stuff like that. But one day I was driving, and I keep this stuff very, very private. You'd never tell it now, but during this time, I was an excessively private person, and I didn't talk much. I hadn't quite healed my fifth center yet. When that opened up, I haven't shut up since.
Me too.
But anyway, so I'd be driving and stuff, and I'd be wanting something, and I'd start talking to my beloved. And I said it out loud one time with my wife. I've been married 48 years now. And she'd be in the car, and I'd mumble something about my beloved, and she'd say, "What did you say?" She said, "What? You said something about your beloved. Who are you talking to?" I went, "Oh, man." So driving in the car, I had to explain to her that I had risen to the point in my meditations where my guides are talking to me, and this one I call my beloved. And so she goes, "Oh, okay." And so I was doing the blessing of the energy center, and I'm driving, and somebody cuts me off, and I go, "Change." And she goes, "What? What?" I'm trying to, it's something Dr. Joe teaches. I'm trying to break the habit of my aggressive reaction. So I say change, and then I put my mind into something pleasant. So diminish the anger and diminish the aggression. So you're talking to a guy who lived this. I mean, I didn't just do the work, and the work will do you. That's the promise. And so I did that change thing, and I did it everywhere. I'd just go in a grocery store, and somebody got rude to me, and I'd be going change. Just anything to break the pattern of that military PTSD that said I was the toughest dog in the junkyard, And I really wanted to be free of that. And so I really did go around saying change for months. So this is about the 10th month. Oh, and the other spirit guide I call the teacher, because he's a male energy. He'll come into play in different places in the story, but he's the guy that says, "Ray, what are you doing? No, you didn't say it right." Stuff like that. And so that's I wasn't channeling as people think of channeling. It was just like they'd kind of get my attention and kind of change my direction a little bit. So it was just about the 12th month. I was in March. It's funny because I started Joe in March, and now it's 12 months later in March. March becomes a significant month for me for some reason. I was born in July 27th, so I'm Leo, and I'm intensely Leo.
Yeah, me too.
And if you saw my star chart, everything is, I'm a summer guy. You ever seen somebody's star chart and they got lines going back and forth? I got almost everything in my 3 months of summer. That's it. It's all right there. So anyway, I don't know if that applies to anything, but it's for those who like to do that kind of thing. That's who I am. So it was March of 2019 now. I've been knowing Dr. Joe's work for 12 months, and I'm sitting in this chair doing the same thing I've done month after month. And it was in the morning, and I was doing Blessing the Energy Center, either number 2 or 3, like I did 100 times. And the world went away. It just went away. I come to laying on the floor right over here by myself. My ears were wet from the tears flowing from my ears. I'm banging my head on the floor. I think that's what woke me up. I'm thrashing around. I'm being electrocuted by waves of divine energy. My guides are standing over me, cheering and celebrating me, going, great. Some of you might have seen videos of that happening in the conference. Well, here I was doing it by myself on the floor. And I'm thinking I'm dying or having a heart attack or something. And I become aware of my guides and what? And it's just, and they're just in again and again and again. I'm being electrocuted by waves of divine energy. This went on for just a short while. And then my teacher, that male energy I mentioned, he became very present in my consciousness, and the waves kind of stopped. And he said, you got to give it up, Ray. You got to let go. What? No, he didn't say let go. I got poked. He didn't like me misquoting him. He says, you got to give it up, Ray. Got to give it up. And what? I sincerely had no clue of what he was talking about. Oh, I missed a part. When I was going through the 2 books, Breaking the Habit and The Placebo, every time I come across the word surrender, I just turn the page. It's like, I can't do that. You're talking to a guy that didn't surrender anything. I paid a price. Excuse me a second. And just to break the habit, I'm drinking green tea this morning, not coffee.
Oh.
Kind of break the pattern a little bit. So I would change, because I couldn't even deal with the word surrender. It just, I don't surrender for nobody. I was the baddest dog in the junkyard, and I was willing to prove it to anybody that challenged me. And surrender, no. Okay, next. And so I'm in this floor meditation, thrashing on the ground, being blessed by the divine, with my guides cheering me on, and my teacher goes, you got to give it up, Ray. What? Give it up. And the word surrender come into my mind. I go, no, I can't. And you got to give it up, Ray. You got to give it up. And does everybody understand that the word surrender does not mean defeat? I was under the impression that that word had one meaning in my mind, and that was to be defeated. I didn't even let cancer defeat me. I mean, I am like 10 years out of my death sentence, and I'm still fighting cancer. I am facing my 6th surgery, deep surgery for melanoma. And I've been burned every 6 months. I go to the VA Medical Center, and they burn off squamous and basal cells. I'd come home looking like I was attacked by a swarm of bees, because they didn't burn one off. I mean, they would go through, and I'd come home with welts and sores all over me. And that happened every 6 months. My body was blooming cancer, skin cancer. And so I'm facing my 6th surgery when I'm on the floor here. So I didn't surrender to cancer. While I'm on that cancer story, one of the things I learned is that sugar and breads and carbohydrates feed cancer. If you're suffering from a cancer that's tumor-based, cut out sugars and breads. Get on the strictest keto diet you can stand. Not because keto is cool, but because of what I learned. I was in the early stages. I was still sitting in the chair, and they were giving me PET scans because they wanted to see where else everything was. And they told me to fast for a full day, don't eat anything, have water, and come in and do the scan. And so they give me a shot, and they tell me it has a trace element so that they can see it. And so I said, what is it? He says, well, it's glucose, sugar with a radioactive element. And I said, what? And said, yeah, see, cancer is the hungriest of all cells in your body for sugar. And so it sucks up more of the sugar than anything else. And that way, when we run you through the scanner, we can see where the cancer tumors are because they're the radioactive elements. Bells went off in my head. And so I decided to starve those boogers. That's how that's what I called it. And so my wife and I came home and we threw out everything starchy in the house. We threw out all the sugars, all the breads, all the cereal, all the crackers, we even threw out dairy milk because it's got the kind of inflammatory foods. Everything. I went on the most boring diet you ever imagined, but I was on a mission. I was not going to feed that cancer that was trying to kill me. And even though the cancer kept coming, it came very slowly. Oh, the results of that PET scan is that I had tumors in my core. I was really, really threatened with death. I mean, this wasn't just, it really was. It was out to kill me. But I think I did what no one else in that group did, and that is I cut sugar off my diet. The only fuel I had in my diet was oils. And even to this day, if you see my cabinet, I've got 3 oils in my cabinet. I've got coconut oil, I've got olive oil, and I've got avocado oil.
And you brought all of those to Cape Cod too. You did. I'm not kidding.
That's what I eat. That's the oil I eat. Now I'm out and I don't have any tumors anymore, so I'm lax. Like the other day, I went and had fried fish at one of my restaurants, and I got a little bit of bread in it. And so I compromise now, and I even for full disclosure, I even had a margarita. That restaurant makes the best Texas margarita ever. But I had no sugar for 10 years, probably, as best as I could. I know I'm off in the middle of my meditation thing that I had on the floor, but these elements are important.
Yeah.
I was so clear on wanting to be free of sugar. I thought I could make my own salad dressings because I'm eating green lettuce now, a lot of it. And so I would go looking for salad dressings with no sugar or no sugar substitutes or no corn syrup, nothing sweet. If it was sweet, I didn't eat it. I'm from Florida, and for me to give up oranges and orange juice, I was determined. I didn't have any sweet fruit. Yes, they're nutritious. Yes, they're good for you. They're good for you if you already have a healthy body. If you're producing tumors like I was blooming weeds, then no, stay off sugars. All sugars, corn syrup, everything. So I found out that I can't even find dried salad dressings without sugars in the salad dressing. I went to Whole Foods, I went to Sprouts, I went to Joe's, whatever it is. They don't make it. So I learned how to make my own salad dressing. I, to this day, still make my own mayonnaise. It's delicious. I make my own Italian dressing. I've got something I pulled off the internet.
Rayonnaise.
Yeah. And the internet even told me to put sugar in it, and I didn't. I've got this long list of herbs and spices that I put in my Italian dressing, and I use that Barg's apple cider vinegar, and I use that olive oil, that's organic olive oil or something like that, and that's what I use for my Italian. So anyway, that was an important part, that I was doing everything matter to matter as I could, and I was still producing cancer. The core cancers hadn't really blown up, but they were still there. So I'm on the floor thrashing around and I'm being told, you got to give it up. And I'm going, what? And the word surrender blew up in my mind. And I know, oh, I got to. So I'm supposed to die here on the floor. And you ever get somebody scold you and all they do is shake their head? No, dummy. But he's going like, you got to get up, Rick. Come on, you got to. What? And so the lessons, I mean, I've read these books by then a dozen times. I mean, I'd read through I'd read the second book, go back to the first book, read it through, do it again, trying to figure out the secret of change. And then I heard it. It's like you can only read something so many times when you finally learned it. Surrender is releasing. Surrender is giving it up. Surrender is letting go. Surrender is changing. But the piece that I was always missing until that moment was that when you release it to something. When you change to something. If you try to change and you don't have a future self to change to, your mind is going to go back to your familiar self and go back to where you were, and you wonder why it doesn't work. Find something to change to. And now, being blessed by the divine, I had someone to surrender to. I had not had that before until that moment. I was on the floor being blessed to the divine. And I had a clear, present awareness to surrender to the divine. And by the way, when I was sitting here wondering, do I say it? And I said, yes. My divine mother. This was a feminine divinity that it's like being hugged by the ocean. It was just immense. It was beautiful. And so I had this conscious awareness of her, and I let go of her. What I let go of is this survival thing, me surviving, me doing the fight, me doing the work. I let go of it and gave it to her. And my two guides just screamed with rejoicing. And my heart got big, and I just, and the waves came on and on and on. And the tears flowed. And then it paused again. This is still me just rolling on the floor over here by myself. I think of it, it's just like, and then it paused again, and I knew it wasn't done. I had no idea what it was, but I knew it wasn't done because it didn't just stop and go away. It paused and drew back. And my guides were there, and my teacher came in my face and says, come on, Ray, you got to do it. You got to let go of it. What? I had no idea what was left. I honestly didn't know. Just, come on, Ray, you got to let go of this. And in me came all of, not what the book said. This time I played my words. I started rehearsing my words. I started rehearsing in me what I was saying, what I said I was. Remember, I started this with me declaring who I am. In this, on the floor, I was hearing me say, I am this veteran, I am angry, I am limited, I am this, I am just miserable, I am just this loser, I am all these I ams. And the teacher kept saying, come on, Ray, you got to give it up. And then I heard me say, I am. And the bells went off. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. I am just like, if I wasn't bald, you'd see my hair go up. I am just being electrified. The rehearsal of the I am. And I went, that's it. I had to release my unworthiness. Why? Because I am. How many times has a Christian said the prayer, Our Father who art in heaven, and didn't believe it? I am the Son of the Father. I am the heir to the throne. I am the heir to the infinite potential. Oh my goodness. I learned that on the floor that morning. I had no idea what I was saying. I just knew that it blew me up, and I was received before the throne in that moment. The child had returned home. Wow. And so my chest hurt at this point. It just really did. And I'm just thrashing on the floor like this. My guides were celebrating. I'm telling you, it was really that crazy.
Mhm.
And so it eased off, and I laid on the floor just exhausted for a while, going, oh, what happened to me? So I got up and walked around. Just for 3 days, I couldn't even talk right because all I could think of was that. And I had no one to tell the story to. No one. I just walked around, just going, oh, wow. It was 2 weeks after that event that I went in for my sixth melanoma surgery. I had had 5 surgeries up to that point, and this was my sixth. I could hold out my arm like this, and you'd see this. Looks like somebody had buried a string of large beads in my arm. It just bunk, 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 bunk down this, and it'd been biopsied and confirmed to be melanoma in the, just in there. And so they were going to cut it out. And so I went in, and because you could still see it, and they cut it open. This was kind of outpatient, meaning they had me in a separate office and drugged me down. And in the midst of it, they wake me up, take me out of surgery, and tell me to, what in the world, what's that, Ray? I go, I don't know. And I looked at it because I could see it right here on my shoulder. They had my arm opened up like a sandwich you open up, and everything in it was gray and ugly. And these gray balls was hanging out. You ever seen horror movies where eyes hang out little strings? Well, cancer tumors have two things. They have a blood vessel and they have a nerve vessel because they're living tissue. They're not cysts. They're not some other thing. They're living body parts. And I got these balls hanging out this wound going, ah, what's that? They said, all your cancer is dead. It's just this whole pocket died and your body's reabsorbing it. What happened? I don't know. I made no association at that time. So that he runs down, gets the chief doctor to come in. This guy came in after reading the placebo, and Dr. Joe talks about the doctor being the control element. The doctor comes in, he's distinguished, he's walking tall, he's got big German glasses, he's got gray hair on the side of his. I mean, this guy's right out of a movie script. And they talk Latin together, and he pokes me a little bit. He goes off, and then the doctor says, so the guy that's doing the surgery says, well, I said, what did he say? What did he say? He said, well, just take out the big stuff, close it up. It's all dead. It's healing. No, take it all out. And so he does what he's supposed to do. And out of my 6 surgeries, this is the only one I can't even show you the scar. It heals so completely. There's not even a scar there. And I saw it. It was like 4 inches long, and they opened it like a sandwich. It had died. September, 4 months later, was my semi-annual full body checkup. It's the 10th anniversary from my diagnosis. Every time I've showed up. They come in with a tray, and the tray of that hydrogen freeze thing and cuts and stuff like that. Because for 10 years, they've burned me twice a year. I show up, and for the first time, and they do the full thing. I strip down my shorts, and they come from my head, behind my ears, down my body, all the way down between my toes. For the first time in 10 years, nothing. I was given the all clear. And every time since then, I'm all clear. That cancer didn't heal. It ended. I had a friend once ask me why I keep going back. Because I still go back every year for a full body inspection. And I said, after 9, 10 years of them telling me it's going to kill me, I just love to make them say I'm all clear. Kids, you're nuts. You know, so so
Really, sorry. The best part about you sharing this story, just I've heard you share it a couple times, and your emotion is exactly the same throughout the whole process, which is so because you're so true to it, and it's just really beautiful.
yeah, it's just I'm still amazed it's me because I remember that guy. I'm not that guy anymore, but I remember him. So for the first few months after the surgery, I was going around telling people, I got a miracle, I got a miracle. But as I read and reread the books, I learned a new word, epigenetics. What does that mean? Epi means above your gene expression. I grew up with a full definition of what my genes said I was going to be, and I lived it. Now I'm not that anymore, and I'm trying to understand. And I learned this word epigenetics. What I learned is that your genes are not on and off. I was taught that you were born with this set of genes, and that's who you were. No, that's not. You were born with a set of genes, and there are certain limits to those genes. I mean, you don't have wings, you're not going to fly, but your genes are little processors, and they have variable things that they can do depending on their environment. The environment that genes operate by is your body, your chemistry. And we live in a fixed chemistry normally, typically. But what happens when you change your energy? I do this because I've got this clear image in me now of this column of light in me. When you change this, it instructs your chemistry to change, and that instructs your genes to change its instructions. And when I did that thing on the floor, I changed this. My energy changed. Who I was changed. And so my genes changed. And I had no place in me for skin cancer. And I still don't. That was in 2019. And here it is 2024. And I still have no signs of skin cancer. But if that was the end of my story, it was great. But she had heard, that's only the introduction to my crazy story. You go, what follows that? December came around. This is September of 2019. December came around, and they were saying I should get a colonoscopy. When was the last time you had a colonoscopy? I said, I've probably never had one. Or if I did, I didn't do it willingly. I don't remember. And so I said, okay, I'm 70 years old at this point. Oh, by the way, for those who don't know, I'm 75 as I'm talking to you now. So don't let age.
And ripped.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
Definitely don't look your age, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, just don't let age interfere with you. You change your diet, you change your mind, and you'll change your life. How's that? So I got a colonoscopy in December, and it's just, I expected, oh, I might have a polyp or something, and not a big deal. I mean, I've kicked cancer. Well, they wake me up in the middle of it, and I'm laying on that couch in the most undignified way. And there's a monitor up there with a camera going in, and they call my wife in because she needs to see this. And on that monitor, it shows blocks, and I mean, they look like warts to me. And it's like, Mr. Dwyer, it looks like you got colon cancer. And I'm looking at the screen going, God, those things look like warts in my colon. I mean, I didn't need to be a doctor to know what it was I was looking at. And so I spent the next week crying over my failure to whip cancer. I did. I sit to meditate in the morning. Oh, boo-hoo, I failed. And my teacher shows up. He let me cry for about a week or two or something like that, a little over a week. And finally, you can only cry so long over something like that. And so I'm just, I'm such a failure. I failed. I didn't do it. And I'm doing the blessing of the energy centers again. And the world goes away, and there is this presence in me, in my face. Says, Ray, what are you doing? What? Because and he just, didn't you learn anything? What? I said, he said, didn't you learn anything? Yeah. He said, show me. You ever get a guy in your face and just says, show me what you can do? I got a teacher that knows me. He just got in my face and says, show me what you can do. I said, what? I said, what do you mean? He said, you said you know what to do. Show me. And I just kind of did one of these, huh? He said, again, I made him say it like 3 times. He said, show me. And I went, all right, I'll show you what I learned. And I come out of the meditation with an attitude. Don't underestimate the power of an attitude. If you've got cancer, that attitude will save your life. Use it. Don't go gently into that good night. Oh my goodness, I almost forgot. I had an anthem that I said during this first 2 years, because I had no community. Dylan Thomas poem, do not go gently into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Get an attitude. Dr. Joe says, you between yourself, your new self, and your old self, which is brighter? If your old self is screaming louder than your new self, in your idle mind, you'll choose your old self and you'll keep going back to the old self. You've got to make your new self, your future self, brighter, stronger, more passionate than your old self. Or when you're weak, you'll go back to the familiar.
Demand what you deserve. Yep.
Yeah, you've got to get an attitude about surviving. You've got to get an attitude about your future self. Don't go meekly. You'll meekly go to your death. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. And I did. So, that was my anthem. And I had it memorized for a while. In fact, it was so unique overcoming the melanoma cancer that the VA actually called me and asked me to come and speak to a group of people who were in it. And what I talked about was I quoted the poem, Dylan Thomas, do not go gently into good night, to encourage them, get an attitude, change your diet and get an attitude. Don't let the darkness win. Seriously, I did. So I'm back at my meditation with my teacher telling me, show me. And I come out of the meditation and I go, okay, what did I learn? I changed. So what's the next book? First book was Change Me. I call it Change Me book because it's breaking the habit of changing yourself. And so I took it in and called it, that's my Change Me book. I've heard other people use that expression too. The second book is Placebo. And that is probably of the 3 books, the most important book there is, because that book will teach you how to heal yourself and how to change your life. There's 4 elements to the placebo. There's the control element. The doctor walks in with his stethoscope and starched white suit, and he's got an entourage behind him, and his presence changes the room. You go into a church, and that's hundreds of millions of dollar building. You just go in, and that church is the control. It controls the environment. You get pulled over and a police officer walks up to your window. That uniform controls the environment. These are controls. You in the meditation is the control. You set the environment of what goes on in here. The second thing is the element. That's the term I use. I don't, Dr. Joe just uses the pill. I call it the element because the doctor says, here's this pill. The church says, here's a statue or a candle. The police officer has a badge and a big gun. He is controlling the environment. And his little tablet says, sign here, you know. And you have an image in your consciousness. When I was early in this, I had a candle. There it is. I still have it. This was my magic candle. I set it in front and lit it. And that's what I used until I learned more control. Use something as an element. Then says the story. So what was my story that I used to conquer my colon cancer? This is good. So I first thing I did was I went back to study Dr. Joe. He's my model. And he tells the story of him having his car accident. And he's laid up and he's decided against having that Harrington surgery where they put the metal in your brace in your back and you're just you're messed up for the rest of your life. But you're alive. And that's what they were trying to do for Dr. Joe, just give him life. Dr. Joe says, no, I'm going to do this myself. If the power that gave me life is the power that can heal me. How he had the courage to do that with nobody to teach him is beyond me, but just, he's laid up. So he's face down on his bed and he's got one of these things, holes in the bed and he starts studying the backbones. Now get this, he's a doctor of chiropractors. If there's any doctor that knows the back, it's Dr. Joe. But even he went and rehearsed and studied the bones. Let that be a model. If you're going to study for healing with a placebo, get some knowledge, because knowledge are the tools that your consciousness use to build the story. Don't just, but not always, but generally. That's the principle. I'll get into the not always story in a minute too. So anyway, so I studied the colon. I studied it so I could draw a picture of it. I studied it so I learned about the 3 layers of the colon lining and the different functions that those 3 layers do. I learned about the facillae on the sides. I learned that it goes 90 degrees down and stuff like that. I learned that its primary function is to draw water out. I learned all this kind of stuff. I learned the names and everything like that. And then I started trying to find an image that I could use. And at first I was just looking at it like a clinical. And it doesn't do it. This does not heal you, but it carries the message. You can't, you need them both. You need that mind-body connection. So I'm trying to do just the healing in my mind, and it didn't happen. And then my beloved showed up. And she says, well, that's no fun, right? I said, what? She says, that's no fun. I said, what do you mean? She says, it's just no fun what you're doing. And I thought, because I knew when she is involved, my heart's involved. And so she's telling me, my heart's not doing anything. It's not fun for my heart. And so I did this image where I went through my colon to see it fully well, fully healthy. Oh, another thing, don't picture it healing. Don't do that. Picture it as, and not just healed, but picture it ideally healed. I wanted the most perfect colon imaginable. I'm 70 years old at this time, and I want it perfect. And so I started examining, and I got this I started going down my colon in my mind as if I was going down a water slide at a water park. I did. I saw myself because I had learned how to control my consciousness. I learned how to control my awareness, and I could put my awareness right there. And so I put my awareness right at that valve. I used to know the name of that valve between the small intestine and the colon. And I'd sit there and I'd give myself a shove and I would go over the level part of the colon and then down, and I'd go, wee, and I was holding bright lights and I'd go through and I'd go, wee, and I'd feel my colon excited that I was looking at it and that I would see from end to end, it was absolutely flawlessly perfect. And I could see all the facillae, the colon lining like this. And I saw all the biosphere, and it's just like, all the biosphere. That was a weird thing I learned. Do you know that you have more points of life on you that is not you? than the points of life that are you? Let me say that again. The human cells are large, and they're each one's a point of life, but you have more points of life on you. Your biosphere and all the bacteria and all the viruses and all the stuff, you have more of them on you than you. If it was a vote by vote, you would lose because there's more of them. So I'm going through the colon. I'm celebrating all this crazy stuff, and that's what I did for my placebo. I learned, I had a message, and I let my heart play in my water slide of my colon many times. Another thing, repetition is rule. Remember, you've been repeating how stressed out you were all your life 1,000 times. You've got a lot of catching up to do. So make it short and make it fun and make it bright and do it something that makes you feel silly and live and stuff like that. And so I did it in March. So that was from January to March. March, I went in and they biopsied it and MRI'd it, and the marks are still in my colon, but they look smaller. I saw the picture of my MRI, but there were still dots in it. And so they gave me a surgery date. Their plan was to take out the lower few inches of my colon and give me a plastic bag for the rest of my life. So I'm still determined, do the work and get the promise. And I'm just, don't go gently into that good night. So I just continued my meditation, my placebo meditation, every time it crossed my mind. Many times throughout the day, I'd sit there and just run my consciousness through that beautiful pink colon. Remember, I've got colonoscopy that confirmed the cancer. I've got pictures, MRI that confirmed the cancer. I've got biopsy that confirmed the cancer. It was March of 2020 now that I found myself on the floor again going, kid you not. This is my second time on the floor being blessed by the Divine Mother with my ears wet with tears. This time, instead of crying so much, every time in between each wave, I was laughing. I'm doing like this. And then another wave. Finally, in between ones, my teacher got in my face, says, "What are you laughing at?" I said, "Who is ever going to believe that this grumpy old man is being blessed by the divine, not once, but twice? This is so funny." And I heard them laugh, and I got another wave of electricity going, and it went on. So I got up off the floor and went on my way, and so I showed up for the COVID had hit the hospital about this time. And so they put me off because they weren't doing any surgery for anything less than critical surgery. And so that saved me. You don't know. That's another important point I learned. You never know what's good for you. You really, really don't. Because just because something says no to you might be changing your life. I thought, because colon cancer spreads throughout the body and it can kill you. And being the survival guy I was kind of upset that I just didn't have the cancer surgery and just go on with life. But it didn't happen. I didn't have my surgery till somewhere around the first or second week of June. And the doctor had my colonoscopy diagnosis, the MRIs, everything. Everything was there. She didn't even look twice at me. If I remember right, she never even came to see me. They gowned me, gassed me, and rolled me in. The last thing I heard before they took me away was the post-surgery for colon cancer is very painful. I will be on hard morphine for 3 or more days because my body's got to adjust to this plastic bag that they're giving me. So I come out of surgery, and the first thing I think of is, where's the pain? Well, the doctor doesn't come in. The nurses don't tell you anything. You can't ask a nurse anything. They're told not to talk to patients. It's the doctor that's supposed to. So they rolled me into post-surgery now. And my wife and I are there, and we're like an hour waiting, and the surgeon didn't come in. And I'm still gowned, like somebody, this is getting old. And so my wife, she's a trooper. She went to the nurses stand and says, I need to talk to the doctor. And she hunted the doctor down and confronted her. And the doctor says there was nothing there. And Eileen says, what? She says, look, we've seen the diagnosis. We saw the pictures. We got the MRI. We got what do you mean? The doctor says, look, I'm the head of this department. I went in as far as my instruments can go, all the way as far as I could go, and there was not even a polyp. Your husband's colon is completely clean. Tell him to get dressed and go home.
Let's go.
Are you kidding me? So during this time, I had another healing that I want to tell you about. Remember that story of PTSD? This is where this story comes in. Somewhere along this first 2 years, I started fighting. Yeah, that's a good word for it. This barking dogs, I call them. All the shame of my 40 years of life in the darkness, the people I hurt, the things I broke, the craziness I did, the meanness that I did when I would get out of control. And yak, yak, yak. And I'd sit down and just my head was noisy with this. And I read the story of Dr. Joe, where some of you have read the book. Remember that story where he's sitting in his living room and he sees the vision of the child in front of him, and it's his younger self. And later he sees the story, he tells the story during that same part of the chapter of seeing his future self. Well, I started meditating on that and says, there's something interesting thing about this. I wonder if I can do that. And so I started thinking about, oh, no, I jumped. So I started dealing with this. I'll get to that part in a second. I started dealing with this. And remember that part about surrender? Well, forgiveness. I learned that forgiveness is a type of surrender. I used to think forgiveness was something that you kowtow doing. Oh, forgive me. I'm, just all this kind of stuff. Well, since I know that I'm worthy and I'm a child of the King, and since I understand that surrender is releasing, I learned that forgiveness is releasing. And the whole goal of this work is to get empty hands. Let go of all this stuff you hold on to. Let go of it. That is my definition of forgiveness. This is what you forgive. You forgive your heart. You forgive in you. You were in a car accident and you were wearing your favorite red shirt, but now every time you put it in, you rehearse that car accident. You're holding on to the trauma. You can't change the past. The past is etched in the book of life. It's there. What you can do is change your relationship to the event. And I had some events I had to change relationships to, I tell you. Yak, 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 all this shame. And I started just releasing it. It would come back and I'd release it again and I'd diminish. You see, how it works is that this little thing up here is designed to remember everything you ever valued an event, everything you ever noticed. It's an incredible piece of hardware. You don't consciously remember it, but he does. And he is still running programs in the back of your mind based on the things that you told it were important. If you had an event that you went, you just told this, it's important, and it will remember, and it will remind you sometime in the future. So the goal is to teach this. I'm diminishing that value now, so you don't have to remind me anymore. For those who are talented in the Cossack records, they will tell you nothing is forgotten. And so I say it like that because it was a hard lesson for me to accept, because I had a lot of stuff that I wish I could forget. What I had to learn to do is change my relationship to it. Oh, that's so important. I hope you get that. If this part is all you get out of today's talk, I hope this is it. Because if you can change your relationship to the traumas of your past, your today is free. It is. because we're holding on to things, not even knowing it, that are controlling our life. Learn to let go. You go to meditate, and here's this thing in your face. I forgive you. I forgive you. Once again, I forgive you. I forgive my heart I forgive my mind for holding on to it, and I release it to the river of life. That's what I used to call it, a river of life. And I put it in the river of life before me, and I'd see the rubble of my life go away. I know those events happened, but my relationship to it, I put it in the river and let it go away, let it wash me. And I did it again and again and again and again until I started realizing that there is a source to my pain. There is a beginning to my pain. And I started remembering that story about Dr. Joe seeing his younger self. And I went, oh, there it is. My younger pain started when I was a young boy, and I just wanted to just get away and make it stop. So I started focusing on my younger child, and I started doing younger child healings. It's all about here. Everything that Dr. Joe talks about is key in your heart. Learn this. So I went into meditation one time, and I've been doing it a few times, trying to tune in to my younger self. And one time I found him, and it was so sad. I'm in this at least certain level of skill in my meditation, and I'm thinking, and I tune into him, and I see my younger self. He's 5, 6 years old, because I remember the environment. I remember the room. I know that room. Enlisted man in the Navy, so we had these small places that we lived in, and we had little bedrooms, and I had this metal bunk, military bunk, and that was this room. It's the size of a closet nowadays, but that was the bedroom. And he's sitting on the floor in the corner, arms crossed, his head down, and he says, "Don't look at me, don't talk to me, leave me alone." This is a 5 or 6-year-old kid. And in me, I just cried because I remember doing that. I did that. That's how sad I was at 5 and 6 years old. So I started talking to my younger self and started telling him I love him, and started telling him how proud I am of him, and started telling him about what a good man he's going to grow up. What a good man he's going to grow up to be. And that relationship with that image slowly changed. Pretty soon he could look at me. And then after a while, after a few times of doing this, because I'd get up in the morning and I'd say hello to my younger self. And pretty soon I was sitting next to him on the bed, little metal frame bed. And pretty soon I had my arm around him, and I kept telling him how much I loved him, how proud I am of him, how he's going to grow up to be a good man, and how he's going to have a wife that loves him and a son he's going to be so proud of. And still I'm forgiving. Other times I'd meditate and I'd still have these barking dogs. You know, I'd forgive it, but they were diminishing. They were getting less in my face. Someone once asked me, how do you know what to forgive first? I said, that's easy. You forgive the one that's in your face. Because what I learned is if it's in your face, turn the meaning of around. I've learned to change word meanings. And if he's accusing you, what he's saying is today's my day to heal. Is today my day to heal? Can you heal me today? If it's in your face accusing you, don't push it aside. He is trying to say in his childish way, is it my day to heal? Can you heal me today? And to heal it, you forgive it. You release it. You release it with all your heart. You give it. Who do you give it to? You give it to the river of life to take away from you, to wash you clean. So one day, like I usually did, at this point, I'd get up off the bed, put my feet on the floor. You know how you just kind of turn. And the first thing I thought of that morning was my younger self. And I thought of him, and I saw him as if I was sitting on the bed next to him. And I said, I love you, little Ray. And the world went away. It's one of those moments where the world goes away. And he was there before me. And he looked at me and says, I love you too, old man. Oh my God. Oh, I just cried. I'm crying again rehearsing it. So once I gathered myself, the first thing I do is, I do my bathroom stuff, and I came in, sat down, and I got, excuse me, I actually shared a tear thinking that. I sat down to prepare to do battle with my accusers. And for the first time in my life, my mind's quiet. I'm sitting here looking around going, did I go deaf? My mind was quiet. I had peace in my mind. All I can do is share my heart and tell you, if this is all you get out of tonight, this work is worth it. And the promise will be kept. You do the work and you'll get the promise. And to this day, I remember my past self. I remember that old dog. But I sit down, I still have busy mind. Are you kidding me? I'm still trying to learn how to discipline this noise in my head. But all the shame, all the accusations of my life are gone. Wow. And if that was the end of the story, it would be great, but it's not. I lived a very toxic life, and so I've had to work through a lot to get clean. Clean physically, clean mentally, clean spiritually. And I'm still a work in process. So it was about somewhere along this time, I was called into my primary care physician, and he's got a rather solemn face this day. And I know, okay, now what? He says, we got back your blood panel. Because I've been given blood. I gave blood 4 times that spring that year. And it's like they're looking for something and they don't know what they're seeing. And he says, well, it's come back confirmed by multiple independent studies. You have CLL, that's chronic lymphocytic leukemia. The chronic means it's degenerative and incurable, and there's no treatment for it. Lymphocytics are what the bones do, produces lymphocytes. They're meant to be healing agents in your body, but when they get like this, it's because you got bone cancer. Now, it didn't go unnoticed that I went from skin cancer to gut cancer to bone cancer. Talking about sick to my core. But I'm sitting there and I'm gritting my teeth and I've got this attitude. I'm looking at him and he says, Ray, don't you understand? I just told you you got leukemia. 5 to 10 years, 10 years, things are going to start getting bad. And I'm sitting there shaking my head going, he says, what, Ray? He says, you saw what I did with my melanoma. He goes, yeah, you saw what I did with colon cancer. Yeah, watch what I can do with this. And he closed his notebook. He says, good, show me. And I nearly fell out of the chair when he said those words. So I started learning about leukemia. First thing I did was find out that this lymphocytic leukemia is a rare bird. And the military takes full responsibility for it. And so I started getting a 100% disability check from the military because my exposure to Agent Orange, being 2 years on the ground in Vietnam. Now I got something important to tell you guys. Roundup, the bug killer, is Agent Orange with a different formula.
Mm-hmm.
And the United States is one of the few countries in the world that allows its people to sell it and use it.
Yeah, it's in a lot of food. Just know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you've got Roundup in your house, throw it away, get rid of it, dispose of it. I don't care. Quit buying that. Excuse me a second.
Yeah, and if anybody wants information on that, just what products not to stay away from, the simple way is just stay out of the middle aisles of a grocery store. That's the easiest way to avoid it. But if anybody wants more info on that, just message me on the side. I have info on that.
So I've got chronic lymphocytic leukemia directly related to Agent Orange, which is Roundup. It is. That's how come most countries on the planet don't allow it imported in their nation. So anyway, so I learned that I've got this toxin in me and that the body has a way of storing toxin for years until for some trigger reason it's released. And then it happens. So I started learning how to detox. And once again, I go to my placebo. I am the control agent. What did I choose for an element? First, I tried drinking stuff, trying to create stories in me that that had an element, carried a message, and that my body could get excited through. I tried drinking, I tried fasting, and everything hit me as clinical. Nothing stirred me in my heart. And then I got this goofy idea. Okay, you know what sparklers are? You know those little things you let kids play with that sparkle like this? By now, my energy being was pretty clear in my mind. And I saw this image of me holding these sparklers. And I went, there's my message. So the sparkler became my element in my meditation. And I would take this sparkle and go through my energy being like this. And I would run that sparkle all the way through. And my message was that every little spark was burning a toxin out of my body. And my heart just thought that was the funniest thing this old man could do is play with sparklers and run it through his body. So my heart got totally goofy over it. Wow, look at me, wee, wee. I'd run this sparkler through. And I'm just all by myself in my chair going, wee, and I just do this in my meditation. Well, I detox my body. During this time, I learned that people have learned to detox their body from ancient times. People have been doing snake bites from India to Hebrews to Christians. If you learn how to tell your body to detox, it will. We don't have to live a toxic life. We just have to learn how to tell our body to detox. It's really an amazing consciousness that we have in this body. We have surrendered so much of ourselves to the public control, to our society. It's just not needed. You can tell yourself to detox. I did that goofy thing with the sparklers. I know a friend that drinks green tea, and every time he drinks it, he drinks it strong, so it has that bitter flavor, so it communicates to his body, and that bitterness goes through his body and pulls toxins out. And that's what he does. So I go through this, and my blood panel is starting to show me healing, except my lymphocyte count from 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, every year my lymphocyte count goes up. They found it. The normal lymphocyte is something like 500 to 3,500, somewhere in there. And so I started at the high 4,000, almost 5,000, and now I'm 7,500 on my 5th year. And it's getting to the point where my body's going to start having effect. Not because I'm not healthy, but because it's squeezing out the bones are producing less and less good stuff. That's the theory. But my blood panel still shows I've got all the red cells needed. I've got all the white cells needed. My immune system's strong. Everything's healthy. And I've got this crazy lymphocyte number way out here. And the doctor says, how are you doing this, right? He says, I just know how to take care of myself. I don't tell them. They're not interested. So I'm about to show you the point on my blood panel that's pretty far up. So in March of 2024, I had my highest lymphocyte number, and that's when they told me it's going to get bad. It's at this level, the body's going to start reacting because I'm flooding my body with this junk. And so I'm wondering, what am I doing wrong? And somebody just gave me one of these aha moments. Is they were asking me what I was doing, and it says, "Well, Ray, know what? I wish I could give the guy credit. I forgot who I was talking to. He says, "Well, this is bone cancer. Are you meditating on your bones?" And I went, "Oh, I thought this was a toxin cancer." Well, it is, but it's the toxins in your bones. And I did one of these tilt. You ever get that? Somebody tell you something that's so obvious, you go, oh, I didn't think of that. And so I started creating a new placebo. At first I thought, okay, this is bones. I want to get one of these little green statues, that glow in the dark statues. And I went to Hobby Lobby and I saw it and I got creeped out by it. I said, no, I can't do that. That creeped me out. I'd never be able to do that. So I started thinking, how do I do this? How do I get this in me? And I started looking at skeleton bones, and it still creeped me out. My mind didn't know what to do with the skeleton and stuff. And then somewhere along the way, I remembered my introduction that I told you. I am not just an energy being. I am an electric energy being. I am an eternal electric energy being. And every time I say it to this moment, I get goosebumps because this image is so solid in me now. Have you ever seen one of those paintings where there shows the shimmering figure of a human form? That's what you are. The guy that drew that knew what he was talking about, because that is you. You are an electric, light, shimmering energy being. That's what, not who, what you are. And every time I rehearse that, I just get an electric wave through me.
Amen.
That's a page I want to show you. That's the page I want to show you. And that's the page I want to show you.
So show us. What are you doing?
Okay. This, I want you to know that I'm not making this up. I wish I could put this in where you could see it. Right there. Oh, it's all blurry. Right, this is my blood panel by Quest Diagnostics. It shows my absolute lymphocytes to be 7,400. And it says normal is 3,900. I'm getting into the junked up body phase of this. Okay. Every year for 5 years, counting the first start, it had gone up 1,000, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've been doing this placebo, electric body placebo, for only 4 months. It had changed from 7,000 to 4,900. Remember, now I'm only a little bit out of normal, and I changed it in 4 months. Now, there's another part of this that I think is real big, really a hoot.
Yeah, I just want to sit with that. That's a pretty big deal. And Leela just had her sparklers going up. Like I'm just like, I want you to feel that noise. Like, dude, this is so fucking cool. Let's go.
This isn't me saying it. This is Quest Diagnostics. This is a picture of my blood report. Well, I'm not just feeling this. I've got independent.
Angela Wharton just wrote, it is bingo.
Yeah.
So it is. It's so big. Yeah.
Well, there's a number here I wanted also to tell you, is that for those who know about blood panels and health and testosterones and bodies and things like that, you may also know about the DHEA number. DHEA is a precursor hormone. In other words, it's the release of DHEA that turns on the testosterone and the estrogen and the white cells. So I wasn't worried about tracking my testosterone. I'm 75 years old. Who cares? I'm worried about tracking the DHEA because it regulates all the hormones in my body. Where did that go?
Hey, Ray, there's some comments here. Just let me know when you got a second. I'll read them.
Yeah. What I want to show you here is you go anywhere on the internet and it will tell you as you get older, it's normal for a man, for anybody's DHEA to diminish because the body weakened, and that causes the body to weaken and everything else like that. And DHEA is normal for men, between 100 and 415 if you're 40 years old. My DHEA last tested at 375. My blood panel is 20 years younger than my actual chronological health.
Let's go. Let's go. So really, this is very relevant to what I'm seeing in your eyes right now, which is just truth and love. I just want to make sure Josh sent a message. He said, Ray, can I speak to you? I have a similar bone problem and he'd love more info. I just want to make sure you saw that.
Yes.
So Josh Capes. Yep.
Robby can give you my contact information.
Yep.
You're welcome. I talk to a few people every week to encourage them and to give them details.
The ripple effect, as Lala said at the beginning.
So after you've been given this much, what do you do with life? Well, somewhere along the way, I was looking on the internet and I found a meetup page, and it was run by a wonderful lady. Her name was Jenny Truman. And by then my fifth center had opened up and I'm just pouring my life out. Anybody who listened to me, and I didn't have anybody listen to me. So I met Jenny on Meetup and I started going to her book discussion group, and yak, she says, why don't you do this, Ray? You got a message. And so on 2021, just the following year of all of this, I started doing my book discussion group. And in the springtime, I do Breaking the Habit. During the summer, I do You Are the Placebo. During the autumn, I do Supernatural. And I go through the books chapter by chapter, one chapter a week. And I discuss it, and I help reveal for people the wonder of Dr. Joe's teachings. I have just finished my 4th year doing this, and I will start my 5th year somewhere around the last week of February. I haven't done the schedule for it yet. So if some of you want to go through the 3 books again, once again, contact, let Robby give you all the content. That way I don't have to send everybody stuff.
Yeah, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get something from you and I'm gonna post it in the group.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
And then it's a discussion group. I pick the chapter apart. I don't read the chapter. I read parts of the chapter. I figure if you wanted to read a chapter, you would, so I'm not there to read it to you. I'm there to highlight it to you, to bring it out, to help you get past those stop points where he goes, what's he talking about? I'm there to help you make it real. I believe it. If there's anybody who can make it real, it's me, because I live this. And to this day, I still live this. And so that kind of ends the story. That's the whole story from my lost self of a young person to here I am talking about self-healing.
Well, goddamn, thank you so much. Before I forget, Angela, I saw your hand was up. I think I put it down by accident. But Ray, thank you so much just for sharing your story, the energy behind the story, and how you got it done. And just what you did is the model, and what I got out of hearing your story and hearing Brad's story, you take Brad out, you take you out, you guys are doing the same thing. And it's a beautiful thing to be a part of, to learn and grow from, to feel the ripple effect. And thank you. And again, guys, put your hands up. If you have anything to say, put your emojis up. This is when we're going to kind of get our, Angela, I remember I did see you, but put your emoji hand up if you have anything you like to say. Don't be shy. Usually after one person raises their hand, a couple do after.
My heart is open. I don't have secrets. I was given my life and I lay it on the table. What can I do for you, Celine? First of all, I'm glad you did. I love your name.
So actually, you know what?
You're muted, sweetheart.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. This is amazing. I'm first time on one of these things as well, by the way. Just a quick one, backtracking, because you cut out with the sugars and everything, and you went full keto. You cut out all the fruit, I assume, even berries. So
Yes.
what did you do for vitamin C levels, and was iron, because I have low iron anyway, were you with like just having meats and chickens, because I don't like meat either? Vitamin C and keeping
Well,
vitamins, I suppose.
I've talked about this with a number of vegetarians a few times, and they don't like me because I tell them, stand in front of a mirror and look for a minute. 70% of what you see is protein. Protein builds your cells. It provides your genes the fuels for expression, and it provides the chemistry for you to fight for your immune system. You go low protein and your body's weak.
The protein's fine. I eat chicken and fish. I just don't eat red meat. So
that's good enough. As long as you get plenty of protein. I added grass-fed whey to my diet as well when I was in the midst of it.
Okay. And for the vitamin C?
Oh, back to vitamin C. I ate lots of green vegetables, everything that was of the cruciferous family, cabbage, broccoli. We'd buy bags of broccoli and cabbage. I make my own coleslaw dressing. Remember, okay. I make my own dressing, so I make my own coleslaw dressing, and we got a whole variety of. I ate. I tried to sauerkraut cabbage. Oh, it was horrible. I don't know. I don't know what they do to make good coleslaw. I mean, sauerkraut. But it was horrible.
In line.
So I kind of gave that one up. But but I eat lots of green stuff, and I even to this day take a handful of vitamins. My primary care from the VA, because of my early blood panel, he gave me A, D, E, C, B complex, and zinc.
Okay,
that's what I was prescribed to do. He says, you're not going to make it, Ray, if you don't take these. Since then, I've added a few more. I've added K, calcium and magnesium, and some other stuff.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Hey, oops, sorry.
Go ahead. I just kind of go through so I take plenty of supplements, and because it's common knowledge, even our best fruits and vegetables are deplete compared to what they used to be. They just
nothing. Yeah.
They just are. I mean, even out of a garden, our soil is just so toxic. It just is. I don't know what, because it's not getting better. It's just continue to.
And that's the mind over matter thing where you think of a Wim Hof, where you say, inject me with whatever, I will show you how I will not let my body react.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And the practice of detoxing the body and just let these.
Exactly. And that is the practice. Exactly. That's exactly what that is.
Yeah. And so that's what I do. Actually, that's what I do. And now I compromise pretty regularly now. But for those first 10 years, I did not compromise. I mean, I didn't. If I wanted chicken, I bought roasted chicken because I wouldn't tolerate even a little bit of bread on the chicken. I just
All right. So really, really quick, I just want to address somebody. Parijat had a good question. I'm going to answer it in my own way. And Ray, if you have a comment on it, feel free.
Okay.
She said, if we're doing Dr. Joe's work, why do we need to focus on perfecting diet? Isn't that putting focus on matter? So my point from you is that's a great question. One point is to understand that we all have different starting points. So where you go, we have to meet 5D in the middle. So where are we on that journey to meet 5D in the middle? And here's another great so getting to that point, you got to take care of your body to get to that point. Okay, then boom, we're in the middle. That's all knowingness and truth begins. But then, for example, here, I can go run a marathon and eat 12 donuts before I go run a marathon, that's just stupid. So that's also a way to think about it. But yes, I agree with you. It is mind over matter. Your mind, you can be as healthy as you want to be, but you meet it in the middle to that point, and that's where I come from there. But Ray, if you have any, and I hope that makes sense.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Ray, if you have anything else to share.
Oh, yeah. I'm not as nice about it. I said, hey, look, I don't walk on water. If I don't take care of this body, it dies. My body wants, because of my life that I had, my body wants to make cancer. So I don't give it reason to, you know. And so I have to pay attention to this. I lived a very toxic life, and I've got to pay attention. And even the little bit of compromise I do, like I had margarita the other night. I'm telling you, this morning I'm drinking green tea. You know, I still have to go to an extent to detox every time I misbehave, because I know I'm not perfect by any means. With as crazy as my stories are, if I don't pay attention to it, I understand that this body has a history and it doesn't forget. So I have to take extra guard on it for it to stay healthy.
Well said. Thank you, Ray. All right. So if anybody, hands raised, who was the person that had their hand up that I want to make sure she's still there? I think it was Angela. Is Angela still here? We got a bunch of stuff on the feed here, Ray. Just I'm going to read it through, and if it's a lot of just great, just awesomeness to hear, and some questions in the middle as well. But if anybody physically who's here, just put your hand up if you have anything you'd like to share. And again, don't be shy. And as I read them, I'll be looking at the screen. Thank you, Ray. Awesome journey. Blown away. This is from Josh Capes. Angela Horton. I was just saying I want to be in the book study.
Hazel got her hand up.
Perfect. Parajit, thank you so much, Ray, for your incredible story and life work. I've multiple simultaneous gifts happening in my body at the same time, and would love to speak with Ray if possible. Would be interested in studying books. Let's go. Ripple effect and effect. I want to listen to this about 10,000 times. That's Lala. Yvonne, paving the way for all of us. Do the work. Thank you, 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 Ray. From Eva, thank you, Ray. Wow, so much heart and love. Thank you for sharing. Mariam Gala, thank you. This is so beautiful. Karen C. and Mama, wow, wowzer, Ray. Thank you for sharing your story. What strength and determination you show. That's it right there. Strength and determination. Sheer, yeah. Let's go. Delphine, much love to you, Ray. It's been a blessing having you in my life. We'll talk soon. Love you too, Robby, and all of you for your loving energy today. Parajit, read that one already. From Leela, Ray, you are beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your eloquently sharing your story as the great teacher you are. We are so blessed to witness and learn from your journey in this detailed and intimate way. I'm sorry I need. Oh, okay, she had to go. I watch this again, and I will watch this again and again and again. Robby, thank you so much for this opportunity, all the love you shower on the community. I love us, and I am so proud of all of us. Many blessings to all of us. Yvonne had to step away. We'll be looking you up for a one-on-one. Oh, that was to Lula, sorry. Peter, thank you so much, Ray, for sharing your story. Lala, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, and another thank you. Karen. Karen, thank you for sharing about your diet, Ray. I have not eaten fruit since 2020. Wow, I didn't know that. Just once in a while, a lot, because Karen has her own garden. She grows a lot of fresh vegetables. I didn't know there were fruit there. Lots of greens are high in vitamin and iron. Also have to take supplements, including beef liver capsules for iron.
Let me interject something about fruit.
Yeah.
I was in a grocery store a couple of weeks ago, and I just had an urge for an apple. I can eat an apple.
Me too.
So I bought one apple, and I brought it home, and I cut it, and I got this thing in my head. It's like, Ray, you better think about this. So I said, okay, maybe I'll think about it. So I cut half of the apple up, and I put it outside, one of the things I do, I have kind of an L-shaped house, and I put a little patio there in the corner, and I feed birds every morning. I put out seeds and peanuts so that the birds can come, and it's fun to watch them do it. Well, I got this harebrained idea. I'm going to give them the apple, because the crows and things and squirrels and different animals will pick at the apple. You can see it in nature trails all the time. So I put the apple out there, and the birds would come up to it and peck it and walk away. The squirrel went up to it and sniffed it and pushed it away. None of the animals that visit my yard would eat the apple. And I sat and let it sit there for days, and the apple dehydrated and didn't even mold.
Chemicals, yeah.
What did they do to that apple that no animal will eat it, and it dehydrated, it didn't mold. The inside, not just the skin, the inside didn't mold. So I threw away my half of the apple.
Good. Yeah, man, it's crazy and it's different areas of the country too have certain things a little worse than others too.
So I was
pay attention to that stuff. Yep.
I was so disappointed. It's like, God, I can't even enjoy an apple anymore.
The chemicals are out there, man. They are, and I'm glad it got brought up today too, because it is relevant to the conversation. Before I go with more messages, Sridhar has a comment.
Sure. Let's see what hello, Sridhar.
Yeah, hi. Good morning, and thank you for sharing the story. Obviously, phenomenal. Your emphasis on eating and the benefits of that, I don't absolutely 100% agree and align. Question I have, just kind of out of curiosity, it seems like everything that you went through in your life story, it was a shock that you then found a solution to heal, right? Does it really, I'm just thinking out loud because I'm a thinker. I think about these things. Does it have to be a shock before, your emotion kind of gives that kind of a reaction, and that's when the placebo becomes effective? I mean, can you just say to yourself at this point, you've had 3 bouts of cancer, and, if it's not a shock, can you just make your imagination to say that there is no more cancer in my whole body, and then you never get cancer as a result of that, right? You've had 3 of them. Who's to say? And I'm just thinking out loud. Like, does it need to be a shock before you react to it?
Srihar, that is a beautiful and important question. And let me address that, because I'm glad you got it, because that's an important question. Dr. Joe says people change for one of 2 reasons. One, they change for trauma or love of the future self. The trauma is when you get knocked off your high horse. That was the cancer journey that I was on. But once I'm done, what do? I saw men get healed of cancer and go back to living the way they were, and then later died of cancer again, because they just went back to their old self, and the old self produced cancer, and the second time it killed him. I had a friend of mine who was energetically healed of multiple cancers. A few years later, she was living her old life and died of the same cancer again. Broke my heart. She didn't do the second step. The second step is exactly what you're talking about. Falling in love with a future self that's different from your old self. That's what the journey of the trauma was about, is to break you, to change you, to make you do something different. One of the things I didn't say, is that when I was in that chair, somewhere around the first week I was plugged in, they had a pick in me. Do you know what a pick is? It's a inline tube that they give a socket. I had a socket in it, and they had a pick, and it was 9 inches away from my heart, so they could just drain me directly into my heart. Well, anyway, I was plugged into my pick and stuff, and I'm sitting there, and my mind went away. I didn't even know about this stuff. This is like 10 years before I met Dr. Joe. The angels were already preparing me for this journey. And I'm in the chair, and I'm going, oh, gee, and I'm dripping in, and the world went away. And this energy being stood in front of me. That's how come I know I'm an energy being. because that's my future self I saw standing in front of me. And that future self said 3 words, change or die. You know, like I said, my teacher says, it gets in my face. And that's what he said. He says, change or die. You know, and then it paused and the screen went away and I'm back in the room with all the chairs and everybody's dripping and all that kind of stuff. That's what people miss, the love of the future self. But when you're in the hole, and you've finally gotten free, how do you find your future self? I've talked to people who says, I have no idea what my future self, I have no idea what I want to be. I have no idea how to live my way out of this darkness. I saw Dr. Joe in a conference one time. He was questioned about this. And the guy was being as sincere as anything. And Dr. Joe walked up to him. You know, he was walking around like he used to do. I don't know if he does that much anymore. But he walked up to the guy and he says, I want you to look and project what it is you really, really don't want in your life. And the guy said, really? He said, yeah, I want you to look at that. Okay. And Dr. Joe said, now turn around and walk the other direction. Because whatever that other direction is, it's not that. And you've begun your journey to find your future self. If that's all you've got, good for you. You've started the journey. Find your future self and walk at it and fall in love with it. And it says, it's not etched in stone. Just as your revelation, your wisdom grows, let it grow. I just happen to have this is what my future self looked like when I began. Have you ever seen that lesson where Dr. Joe says, put a circle in it and draw squiggly lines that represent your 2 energies, your mind energy and heart energy. And then he teaches it something like this. Oh, that's not it. He teaches it something like this, where you put your feelings on one side and how it looks on the other. That's how he teaches it. Well, being who I am, a very, very private person at the time, I didn't want anybody to know what I was doing. So I put a symbol in the beginning, and I put nothing but letters around my circle. And then I put circles around the circles because I wanted to focus on it. And after I did that, I had this sunflower looking thing, and I made a plant out of it. And so for the first 2 years, the sunflower was my inner symbol of my future self. And I learned that what I'm really telling myself is, this isn't a journey, this is a blooming. This is a revealing. This is an acorn turning into a great oak tree.
Beautiful.
That's what you do. You fall in love with your future self, and you learn that future self a little at a time as it reveals to you. And the guy says, but what's it feel like? I says, go into your meditation. If you can get into 8, reach up to 8 and reach for the divine and say, Father, tell me what my future is. Tell me what rings my bell of my heart. There's a scripture that says it clearly. It says, I give you the desire of your heart. It does not say, I give you what you want. Don't interpret that way. It says, I give you the desires of your heart. And if your heart is broken and you've lost your desire, then go to the source and ask for what rings my bell, what gets my heart excited. Reach up with your hands, tune into that divine, and wonder. Don't demand. This is one time you go in requesting. Usually you go in and you create. This is when you go to receive. Find that thing in the heavens, and you'll be tested. I was, and the others I've talked to, it says, what about this? What about this? What about this? And if you're not being true, you go, nah. But eventually you're going to find that one word that goes, oh, I can do that. I mean, I can do that. And you'll feel your guides get excited. Yes, silly, you can do that. Oh, yeah, that would be cool. You found what rings your bell in your heart. Now, every morning, get up and you rehearse it, and you rehearse it, and you rehearse it. And you can watch your life turn little corners as your heart magnetic force grows, as your intensity tunes to that heart's desire. The signal goes out, your heart draws it to it. Your life will move in that direction. You are looking at me living the journey to my future self. This is it. And I am just on the journey, and I have that oak tree that I'm growing into. That was an important question. Thank you for asking it.
Beautiful. All right, so we're running short on time. We have two questions here. We have John, then Hazel. Before I get to that, Hazel, I did see your question. And Sridhar, thank you for a really great question. I appreciate that. Hazel asked how to get the session, where you can get it. You'll get it in the Sunday Journeys room, but there's also a YouTube page. So just if you're in the WhatsApp group, just click on one of the videos and you'll just go to the main page. But I'll have this available for everybody tomorrow in the group. But there's a YouTube page for Sunday Journeys.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. You are so welcome, and nice to meet you.
Hey, Hazel,
Yes.
I want to meet you. I don't know why, but I want to meet you. You be sure to show up on my WhatsApp and say hi to me, because I've been looking at your picture going, I got to meet that lady. I want to know who she is.
But this picture is from the 80s.
Oh,
I'm as old as you are.
well, good.
We've got the same age.
Well,
I
good.
just didn't have a nice picture, so I took that old one.
Oh,
Well,
stop
I
it.
ought to get my old picture out there. Well, I look pretty good for a guy 75, don't I?
Yeah, well,
There we go,
this
Hazel.
is me today.
Beautiful. Oh, wow. I love it. Beautiful.
Oh, well, yeah.
We'll
I
talk.
like my younger self better.
I like
Well,
you. I like you.
Well,
Oh,
I'm
thank you
getting
very much.
I'm getting a kick out of my older self. This is wild. Okay,
Yeah, but,
John's story.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Hazel, really quick though, let me go through this. But Hazel, did you have another question? Is that why, since we have your mics open, did you have another question, or was that it?
no, I was just, I wanted to tell Ray that I would love to have contact with him, but I don't know how
You
and
don't need
where
to
and
know that. There
why.
you go.
Huh?
I said, well, he wants to contact you as well. So what I'm going to do, which is beautiful,
Yeah.
look at that, this conversation that got created, is that I'm going to post all of Ray's information. But just know, anybody, if you're not, I think everybody that's on this call is in the Sunday Night Journeys WhatsApp group. If you're not,
Yes.
message me. I'll post my phone number right now. Just message me, and then I'll add
Oh,
you to the
it's
group.
fine. I'm
Yeah.
in that group.
Okay, so if anybody's not though, I just put my number so you can add yourself to the group. But just Ray's in the group. You could just click his name and say hello. But I'm gonna post all of Ray's information in the group when I post a YouTube link. Say overview, Ray's diet, his contact information, his book club, all that stuff.
Wow. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hazel.
Then my audio is going.
There you go. All right, so yeah, let me read through this really quick, then we'll get to John. Okay, so Hazel, ML, also blessing your food and drinks helps. Josh Capes, Robbie, I'll message you. Cosette, I've healed PTSD, but doing the work. However, other health issues have surfaced. I've thought to myself, what am I not doing? You sharing your journey has given me new inspiration. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Cosette in the house. Let's go. Maria Christina says, thank you very much. I've lymphoma. Oh, I have a lymphoma, which is healing. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that healing energy going out. Thank you, Maria. Thank you for your life. I feel honored to hear you. From Karen Velasco. From Maria Cristina, she's from Argentina. Beautiful. From Suzanne Stegner. I've heard your story 3 times and get so inspired and hear something on a new, deeper level each time. I 100% agree. As someone also healing cancer, I am so inspired doing many of the similar things and know someday I will be telling a healing story like yours. Hell yeah, you will. Thank you for being that inspiration. That's beautiful. Thank you, Suzanne. From John. John would like to speak. I don't have a video with this, but I'd like to speak. 1 second, John, hold on. And then, wait, John, you didn't go away, did you? Where are you? Okay, you didn't go away. All right, you know what, John, go for it. I'll read after you.
Hello, John.
Oh, hey. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're up, brother.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. I just wanted to say thank you very much. So I'm in Calgary, January 2nd, this year. I was diagnosed with stage 4 glioblastoma and told 12 months. And 100% of the patients die in 12 months. And I'm December now, and I've had 4 MRIs with absolutely 0 cancer.
Yeah.
And this, yep. And this, a lot of this is extremely similar, Ray, extremely similar. So it's keto diet, complete removal of sugar, almost complete removal, basically complete removal of carbs, less than 16 grams a day, like 10. Pretty much that. Meditation hours every day, workout every day. I was atheist, and now I'm not. I am religious.
Wow.
There's a lot of giant. Yeah, I was atheist for
That's
years
crazy
and
how
years
that's
and
the
years.
most that popped out to me right there.
There's a lot, and then a lot of what you're saying. I think I'm much earlier. So this only happened January of this year. But like I said, 4 MRIs with absolutely 0 cancer in them. And yeah, exactly. I celebrate all the time, and my wife too. My wife sitting next to me. We mostly do everything together, and we did this all this morning and everything. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, and I think I'm earlier than you on your journey. You said you've been in this since 2009, I believe was when you said 2008.
I discovered Dr. Joe in 2018. So I'm 6+ years on the journey.
Yeah.
I was diagnosed. No, you're right. I was diagnosed September 2009, but I was just matter to matter diet only. That's all I knew. But the healing began when I started studying Dr. Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. My wife introduced me to Dr. Joe and got me to listen to Joe this year, obviously. It's all this year, and dramatically change everything this year, and extremely quickly. I definitely am not where you are yet. I'm definitely changing, and like I had like brain surgery, got part of my brain removed, so I'm not as quick processing as I was before. I have a master's degree in analytical chemistry and do chemical research and medicine research and all this stuff as a career. So like I had a very fast brain before, and it's gotten slower, but it's getting faster. It's getting recovered. It is healing. There is no cancer. The brain itself is regrowing. That part I am remembering a lot of this specialty stuff. So yeah.
Let me tell you something interesting for you to cogitate on. Your thinking is not in your cortex. Your thinking is in your consciousness. Your physical remembering is in your cortex. So the creative you, the powerhouse that is you, that energy being that is you, is not got anything to do with your surgeries. It is beyond that. So
exactly.
Don't let your story beat you up. You go, fine, so I'm slow, but I bet you I can outsmart you. That you can still do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Yes, absolutely.
This is what it's all about. Woo, sorry, go.
Thank you.
Yes, that is so cool. I love that. Somebody told me I should write a book or something or tell somebody. He says, look, I'm old hat. This is happening everywhere now. There's so many people doing this. And there's John. He's got a story. I'm just footprints in the sand and he's walking right with me.
Yeah, but look what you just dropped a nugget of knowledge at the end. That's why the book needs to be written, because every situation is different and you got to share your story. Boom. Or do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Maybe
sorry,
what I'll do is I'll run one of these through a transcript and I'll get the transcript of it, and then I'll have the beginning of my book, and I won't have to write all this detailed stuff out. I'll have the outline right to begin with.
You can use AI for that situation.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Use it as a tool, not to take it.
Yeah, I'll just run the audio through a transcriber and they'll write it all for me, and then I can start breaking it down and write something from that.
So I just want to say, everybody whose body in this call, who's going through a similar journey, don't just hear what just happened. Feel, believe, receive, accept everything, because it's fucking real. Look at what Ray and John just talked about. They don't know each other, and they just said the same exact thing.
Yes. Remember, I introduced this as the work and the promise. Don't make this a philosophy like a book on the shelf. Oh my God. You got people walking in the sand showing you the way. Do the work and you'll get the promise.
God damn it. Yeah, I could go off for I gotta try to wrap this call up just because I gotta go. But this is what it's all about. This is what that connection right there is what it's all about. It shows that you already know everything. It's not this plus this plus this will get me that. It's what will get you there, and you figure it out. And look what they just did. They bumped into the same things. And it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible what just happened. Like, seriously. I mean, Ray's story alone, and then someone shares the same story of how. Like, it's all real. It's all real. It's all there for everyone. God, you guys are amazing. Seriously, Ray, thank you for doing this. Karen, the fruit trees I grow are high in protein and low. Oh, there you go. She does grow fruit trees. I was wrong. Or I was right, but I was wrong. From Tim, love it. Thanks for sharing so much. I feel better knowing that from the moment I was diagnosed and telling my damaged cells, fuck you, cancer. I was mean and spoke to it with that tone and didn't follow some advice I received about sending love to the cells. Let's go, Tim.
Get an attitude about it.
Yeah. Fucking go.
Find that poem.
Tim, where are you? I saw your face before.
Find that. If you don't know how to get an attitude about it, find that poem by Dylan Thomas. Do not go gently into good night. That will tell you my attitude that I had.
From Tim. Oh, Tim just said that. Sorry. So hopefully Tim's in the group because I'd like to introduce myself too. So, from Linda, thank you so much, Ray. I will, Linda Maranovich, thank you so much, Ray. I will listen to this recording over and over again. Thank you for your inspiration. Amen. From Shidar, interesting and thank you. Minal, thank you so much. I need to leave the meeting. Miguel D, Robby and Ray, thank you so much for everything. Hugs to both of you. I'm diving in deeper into this work. Let's go, brother. Amen. From Hazel, thank you so much for this mind-blowing story. Best regards from Southern Spain. Okay, Josh, I just see your hand up. Let's wrap it up with Josh, and then we'll close the call out.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, Ray, I just wanted to tell you really fast. I appreciate your story. I mentioned earlier that I have some similar issue. It's a little bit different. I was diagnosed with bone marrow failure in July of this year. So my bones produce zero blood. So I'm essentially getting platelets, red blood cells weekly since that point, and nothing's changed as far as like matter. And I've been doing the work pretty hard. I went to the Dispenza conference in Orlando in October, and the last week or so, I'm just like, what is going on, man? I don't know why nothing's changing. It's affecting my family. It's just, I'm 40 years old. I'll be 41 this month. And without certain treatments, the doctors are like, you got a year. Well, I'm about 8 months into it. And pretty much after going through your story and listening to it, and then you brought up the bone thing, and I was like, that's what's missing. That has to be what's missing. So, dude, you just gave me a ton of hope, man. I just want to let you know that.
Go full bore, go full passion, let your heart scream, rage against that light, get an attitude, and go into that. First of all, study, get real knowledge, and then create your story, and then get a story that your heart responds to. I don't care if it's silly, goofy, what you want your body chemistry to feel it. I like the image of an electric, I put on the image and I get goosebumps. I want that image. I am an electric energy being, and my body is my expression, and my expression is perfect health. And I get electrocuted, I get goosebumps. My bald hair starts standing on. Get something, get it into you to electrify you. Don't go gently into that good night.
I appreciate it, man. And last thing, I messaged you in WhatsApp. I'd love to connect with you to get a little bit more, what you just said. Thank you. Robby, thanks for putting this together, buddy.
Hell yeah, dude. Thanks for your vulnerability and just saying what you just said. Whew, let's go. All right. Yeah. What an amazing call. Seriously, holy shit. The amount of years that we're in here, divine timing is just the word that we can use, I guess. It's just great that this happened, and I'm so happy it didn't happen until now. Because I don't think anybody on this call would have been on this call. So beautiful. Thanks, Ray.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I just to have a group of people receive my crazy message I just love it.
Yeah, man. Woo! All right.
Do the work.
So,
do the work and get the promise. Do the work, get the promise. You don't get it by reading the book. You get it by doing the work.
Yeah, you know what? If I'm going to just say something really quick on that. It's really important because it goes to what you were saying before, and it's relevant. Just you put in the work, right? You just said you put in the work, you get the results, you get the promise. There's no shortcuts, right? Like we're meeting it in the middle, and I'm going to use Becoming Supernatural as an example of I think Chase is his son. Is it Chase or Chase, right? Dr. Joe's son or Bryce? I think it's Chase.
I don't remember. Yeah.
So in the book, he says, so he says, I want a job. So Dr. Joe, he pulls out, put the letter, do whatever you want. So in the book, you would think he wrote that down, and the next day he went to the coffee shop and he bumped into the guy. But when you go to a live event, you learn the full story. You learn it took months and months and months of meditation to get his mind to that spot where he could do that. And that just put in the work, because you will find that spot that Ray's talking about. And if you want to add anything to that, feel free to. But
time is a factor. People ask me, how long did it take? It took me a year to have my breakthrough. My question to you is, how bad do you want it?
Yep.
How long will you wait it? When people call me, one of the first things I ask them is, how bad do you want it? Are you wasting my time? Because if there's anything in your life that you won't give up, then it's a waste of time, because you're fighting for your life.
Let's go. Josh, you got this. Everybody got this. Let's love and go. Feel the energy. Feel the ripple effect of everything that was just said. Everything Ray poured out to us. That was energy. Grab onto it and do something with it, because it's powerful.
I can't tell my story under 2 hours. I just can't. I sat down today. I'm going
No fucking way. I can't. I know what you mean. That was perfect, though. It was perfect. It flowed like a river.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta walk my dog. He's staring at me. I love you guys, and I'm gonna just pay attention to the WhatsApp group. If you're not in the group, I put my phone number in the chat. Just grab it. But I'll have Ray's diet. I'll have his book recommendations, his book club, everything that he mentioned. We'll have his contact info, all that good stuff. All right.
I even made a video on how I make my mayonnaise.
There you go. We'll have that. That'll be and we'll all watch it together. I love mayonnaise, man. You gotta make mayonnaise. And I recorded the whole thing. The computer took it all.
Yeah.
All right. Love you guys. Have a great day.
Bye.
Great day, everybody.
Marius, beautiful, man. Great you were here.